week. I had to take a break. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today on Break Free T. Marie. I'm your girl, T. Marie, back with another episode. Listen, this one we're going to talk about some things that really need to be talked about. And it's kind of something that's going viral right now. So, all right. So today's episode is one that I'm not just talking about. I'm living it. Now, y'all know I got my notes. I got to keep them so I stay in line, know what I'm talking about so I can deliver it straight to you, right? So, I'm in a season right now where I got to learn to choose rest. You heard me say learn because it's a situationship, right? I'm trying to do this in this current season. I'm intentionally trying to break free from the cycle of what's called overfunctioning or saying yes to everything just to prove my worth, to prove because I'm doing something, I'm getting somewhere. That is it's a myth. It's a huge myth. So yesterday, I found myself able to, let me just run this thing. Found myself able to go to church. I was rested. And then I stepped out to an event for Kevin Connected Radio, who we're being hosted by. He had an event last night. I was able to kind of do all those things where typically I'm too tired to do those things. Why was I able to do that? Well, if we run it back, right? That Saturday, this Saturday just passed, I did nothing. I was a couch potato. I sat on my couch with my son. We snacked. I fed him his lunch. I just really did nothing. I didn't come out of my PJs. I just sat on the couch, watched a couple Tubies, my favorite pastime. Didn't even really hop on the web, right? I didn't even get on social media, but I did what my body required, and that was nothing. Now, let me just preface it by saying something, and I want to make this very, very clear. Doing nothing and intentionally doing nothing is two different things. And so I intentionally did nothing, but in that moment, I didn't do nothing. Okay, catch me. This is what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is I did nothing. I sat on the couch. I munched, played, talked to my son. Grandson came over, just, fiddling around, right? But in that space, because I allowed and intentionally allowed my mind to just be empty, right? And do nothing, I did something. God was able to talk and download an idea to me. If everything goes well, I may be launching another jump off this week. Like it's really that serious. And if I come back here next week and tell y'all that this thing went through, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but you also gonna understand that one, manifestation is real and rest is required. Why? Because in that season when you're resting, God can download so much into your spirit that when it's time to roll that thing out or manifest it or implement it, right? It's going to be laid out for you. And that's what happens. So, like I said, I can't let the cat out the bag just yet. But if it goes the way it's supposed to, you'll see how quickly things can happen when you intentionally do nothing. So, I'm going to get into it, talk about it a little later. But I will say here, I said I had no meetings. I didn't. I didn't do any overthinking. I was completely at peace, chilling, watching Tubi, eating chip and dip, one of my favorite pastimes. But in that moment, I was also able to hear. Just casually searching on the web for something, prices of a certain thing. And next thing you know, that thing just pop, 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 pop. And it didn't take long. I just had to roll the plan out, went and showed my other son, look at this game plan right here. And even he was like, Mom, that might be the move right there. And then, so I'm not gonna go into it because then I'm gonna end up telling it. But I'm saying all that to say that rest is it's imperative. And if it's intentional rest, even when you're in that moment of what you think is doing nothing, allow your mind to be open enough so that God can pour into you, right? So let's get into it. Why is this episode so pivotal right now? Well, on top of that, I did scroll a little bit on social media, just a little bit, and I caught this clip. Now, my daughter said apparently this story has been going on for a while. I don't know if that's true, neither here nor there. I just saw it, right? So the lady's name is Quita Cole. right? A lot of women that I know have shared this story as of recent. She's a 40-year-old woman, entrepreneur, hustler, right? Something that we think is so dope. Like, oh, she a hustler. She go get it. Oh man, I used to ascribe to that. You couldn't tell me I wasn't one of the hardest hustlers because I did a lot. I stayed busy, right? But that means nothing if you're not productive. And when you're doing too much, you can't be productive. It's just too much going on. I digress. Anywho, Quita, 40-year-old powerhouse entrepreneur, woman of purpose, right? She said, what is it? 3 words. Quita is tired. Baby, listen. I done said them 3 words. I done said them 3 words in the last couple of weeks. Like, but mine is probably sis beat. Sis is tired. Sis is exhausted. Mama is tired. Leave me alone. I probably said it in body language, right? Because sometimes you can't even articulate how exhausting it is to just be a mom, to be an entrepreneur, to be a grandmother, all the things that you ascribe to, like you cannot articulate it. So let me put it in context. Sis said Quita is tired. Then she said, I'm going to take a nap. Quita didn't wake up, y'all. And so when I thought about what am I going to do this show on, like usually I have this all done. I usually know by Friday what my show is going to be about. And I just couldn't think of it. And then the Holy Spirit said, talk about rest. Something simple, right? Something that I am learning to adapt to and grow into because I'm realizing it's imperative. Ironically, I usually listen to a word outside of what I listen to at church, right? Just to keep my spirit filled, right? And my cup filled. So I was listening to, I forget the church, but I listened to him a lot. And his brother was preaching, and his brother was preaching on, I need rest. So I've been listening to that all day. And I'm like, wow, the connection that I saw there is that rest is aligned to holiness, right? Like, the more you rest, well, I don't want to say being lazy, but the more you make time to rest, the more God is able to make time to talk to you. Boom. Okay. So let's go into it. Because if I'm off my notes, okay. All right. So she worked 7 days a week, no breaks. How many of us, even if you don't work a job 7 days a week, you're doing something nonstop until you basically collapse, right? Like that's when you feel like, okay, I've earned my rest. Negative. That's what we're going to dispel today. No breaks. Shortly before she passed away, she said those chilling words. All right. Next page. She laid down and took a nap. Basically, what we're saying is there could have been several variables here. She was burnt out. Right? That will manifest in when you talk to people. Now, let me get a little personal. My daughter Zoe, we work together. She said something to me last week. She said, Mom, nobody can even talk to you. You always snapping and going off. And my pastor said to me one time, you a little undone, sis. Like you, she said it's simple like that. Like you coming a little undone. And I'm an introspective person, right? And if you're not an introspective person, there's really no reason for you to try to dabble into this entrepreneurial world because people are going to say things to you. And at the end of the day, not all of it is going to be wrong. And if you want to be better, if you want to elevate in the space that you're in, you got to take some of the constructive criticism. Like I said it before, chew up the meat, right? Spit out the fat. Chew up the meat, spit out the fat. If it's things in there, right, that has some sustenance to it, right, take it in, reflect. That's what's going to make you better. That's what's going to make you grow, right? So she said that to me. She said, Mom, no one can talk to you. You're always snapping. And I realized I am because I'm so tired. My mind is so exhausted. It hasn't had a time to just break and be silent and do nothing. It's always thinking. And that's not all because of work. That's because of a choice. I've made a choice to keep going and not stop. But you can make that choice. Why? Because the Bible says, come to all ye that are tired, right? He will give you what? Rest. So if it's in the Bible, then it must be Bible. Your girl is funny. Anyway, back at it. So the story went viral, right? She's exhausted, she's burnt out, and ultimately, here's the thing: she's not alone. It's, I'm sure if we poll, 100 women, 97 of us are going to say we're tired, right? I'll probably, and I'm throwing numbers out there. I'm probably giving it more benefit, but those 3% who have gotten it, kudos to y'all, right? But the majority of us, especially in a certain era, right? We've been taught to hustle, especially those coming from certain, parts of the country. If you're from New York, man, all it is a hustle and a bustle. It's go, 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 go. It's a badge of honor, right? I watched my grandmother do it. So it's not about generations. I watched my mom do it, right? Especially when her back was against the wall. I watched my friends do it, right? We do it. It's what we do. We hustle and we think that's to be respected. But ultimately, I mean, in the case of Quita, and I know this is an extreme case, but it didn't work out for her. And I refuse to have that be my story. And I'm hoping that by putting this out here and projecting this story in front of my podcast friends, right, that we can kind of just take a mental assessment and say, what can we do to take that break, right? What can we do to take that mental break and be apologetic about it, right? To make no apologies for saying, I need a break before I break. Catch that now. All right. So let me tell you something about what I've learned. Hustle culture, this is good, is not kingdom culture. Okay. Hustle culture is not from God. It says there is nothing God glorifying about being too tired to pray, too worn out to be present, and too consumed to rest. My son was in rehab the last couple of weeks, and I would literally get home from school. This is part of the reason why I didn't come in last week, because I needed to do something at the rehab. So I had to make a decision. And it was sad. I miss you guys. But nonetheless, I had to tend to my mommy business. So I would leave work, sit in my car, not even go in the house, just to breathe for a moment, and then pull right off and go back to the rehab, right? And so what I realized one day is I'm just kind of here in the rehab. And although I know my son liked my presence there, he can't speak or anything, but I know he liked my presence. I also had to check myself, like, but am I present? Like, he likes my presence, but am I present? Because see, here's what I would do. Okay, I'm done with work. Wrap that up. I'm gonna bring my laptop to the rehab with me, and I'm gonna continue to work into the night, and then leave the rehab about 10, come home, take a shower, crash and go to sleep, wake up and do it all, and wonder why I was exhausted. I'm talking about tired, sometimes to the point where you just want to cry. Like, I'm so tired, I can't even say how tired I am. That's insane, because you have permission to take a break. Here's what it says. The Bible says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you what? Rest. Let me say it again. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. He didn't say, come to me once you finish your to-do list. Okay. He didn't say, you'll rest when you're successful. That's mine right there. I was brought up to nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. Like that. Y'all know I'm tatted up. That's one I could have got tatted on me, because I thought that was Bible. I thought that's one of the hardest verses, right? Nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. I mean, in context, I guess, but essentially what that's saying is, if you sleep, you ain't gonna get nothing up out of that but a dream. But here's the thing, and for me, this is true, and it may be true for other people as well. When I sleep, God does talk to me, and He does show me very vivid dreams, and those dreams become manifestation. I can tell you right now what I've dreamed, I'm living in right now. Say that again. Things I've dreamed about, down to my son. I've seen visions of my son doing certain things, and now we call it those people call it deja vu. But if you in the spirit, if you living within the Holy Spirit, right, it ain't deja vu. What that is the manifestation of the word. What has been downplayed into you. See, but sometimes, and I heard this today, so I'm not stealing it, but I'm gonna re-say it. When I was listening to that speaker today, that minister, he said, sometimes God can only talk to you when you're sleeping, because you won't sit your butt down. I'm like, okay, don't talk about me in my face, sir. But anywho, yeah, that's how he talks to me. But when I was awake and still on Saturday, he gave me the same vision that he probably would have given me while I was sleeping, but I had given him space to operate with it. That's so profound. Because I'm telling y'all, if this thing go through, I'm telling you it was nothing but God. And I'm telling you, I would have thought I was crazy even thinking what I'm about to do. Okay. Anywho, backing up, come to me, all you who are weary, burdened. I gotta say that again, and I will give you rest. He did not say once you are successful, and that's what I was thinking. Probably what 2 months ago. Listen, I gotta go, 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 because I gotta get for my grandkids. I gotta go, 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 because my son need me. He need me to be successful. I am successful. We are successful because who are we measuring this success meter against? That's the thing. I'm reading this real good book right now. I can't think of the name of it. I'll look it up, but I don't feel like it. Audio book in it. But it's about insecurity. And it's not so much about the in your face insecurity, like being hating on somebody. It's about those intricate things that's inside of you that make us think we have to measure up or that we have to continue to go. It's that moment where you look at a person doing something a little bit more, or a business thriving a little bit more, or anything that's a little bit more, and you measuring yourself up to that. But that's insane, because then if you look back, there's somebody who's wishing they could be where you were. Stop. It's a whole rat wheel. Cut the crap. I know I am, because I am successful, period. So I'm not waiting on that to rest. God didn't say that. That's not part of the word. So we're going to start doing this thing biblically, which is line for line, and get it right, right? And not end up stuck in this rat wheel of hustle culture. It's not healthy. And it doesn't leave room or space for anything to thrive. I got this good analogy that I'm about to get to. So let me hurry up and go through it. So it says, he said, come now. That means come tired, come undone. I said that. That's crazy that I said that. My pastor told me, you coming undone, sis. And it hit me when my daughter said it again. I'm coming undone again. Right. And so that's where anxiety comes from. That's where depression comes from. This is one thing I learned. Sidebar, mental health type sidebar. I was reading, I do a lot of audio booking because I can't sit and read anymore. Not like I want to. I guess I could if I made more time. But anyway, I do a lot of audio booking, and one of the things this lady said that has been so profound, and I kind of use it as a gauge, right? And she says, um, depression is when you reflect on things that happened in the past, right? And anxiety is when you over process what could happen in the future, right? So future anxiety, past depression. So the solution to that is be in the now, not the present, not the past, in the now, right? That's so dope to me because one is simple. I love the simple thing because then you can regurgitate it right to the people, but then you can process it in your head without it being overcomplicated. We ain't got time for that. We need to get to the nitty gritty. Focus on the now. That's who you are now. You should be successful. If you woke up today, you are successful because somebody didn't. Hello. Okay. All right, moving on. Let me feel you. It says, I used to think I had to earn rest. I like this. I'm glad I read this out loud. I used to think that that was part of the goal. Like, okay, I get this gold star at the end, right? Which will be rest or a vacation. But what if you can never get that vacation? Like, I didn't anticipate it'll be a year, July 19th, that my son had his car accident. I didn't anticipate not being able to do too much of anything. Like I can't take him on a beach. What are we gonna do on the 4th of July this year? Probably nothing, right? Usually we're doing something, but I didn't anticipate that. So if I was measuring up to, okay, I'm gonna rest until we get our 4th of July break. Well, that may not be guaranteed, right? So why does it have to be so grandiose? Why does it build it up to this big thing when all it is taking a break? I'm trying to make this thing so simple because I've just done that. I did something. I said it on a podcast probably 2 podcasts ago. And I said I'm gonna do it. It was one of my little T's, right? Where I said I'm gonna look at my calendar and I'm gonna select a day. So I'm telling y'all, I don't just say this stuff and then be kicking it to you and not really be trying to do the stuff because what's the point, right? To be just talking. I ain't got time for that. I could be at home. Um, I'm really trying to just drop these little nuggets or give you that little bit of tea bag to drop in your tea so you can take it and sip it, but at the same time, I'm gonna sip on it as well. So I went on my calendar and I said, okay, what do I want to do? I've been wanting to go to Charleston. Seems like such a little thing, but my family is not really into doing what I want to do. I want to go see the African American Museum. I want to do nothing. I want to sit in the sand and just do nothing and bake, right? Because I love the sun. Vitamin D. Great. Um, and so that's what I want to do. I don't want to have to plan anything. If I do want to get up, great. If I don't, so I don't want to take a whole bunch of people with me. I just want to just kind of just flow with the water, right? So I looked at my calendar. Boom, this weekend. Called my homeboy. He lived there. I'm like, yo, from home. I'm like, you've been there for X amount of years. Where's a good place to go? Because, see, that's the other thing. You never know who's where, right? You got people all over the place. So, childhood friend, he like, yo, you could go here. You can go here. It's really, a nice place. It's more touristy than people think. Go here. Boom, found a nice hotel, reasonably priced, not expensive. I ain't going to be in there no way. I'm going to be outside on the beach. But the point is, I would have never done that because I'm a family person. I would have figured out a way to get my whole crew to go. But in this season, I need break. I need a break. I need no mommy, no wife, no grandma, no nothing. I just need maybe a book, my Bible, the water, of course, some good food. I'll eat that up, right? But just some me time, right? Just so I can come back and reset and be refreshed. So that when my daughter asks me a question, I'm not snapping. So that when my grandkids come over, and they give me love, I'm not preoccupied thinking about something else. So that when I'm sitting by my son, I'm present. So that when my husband asks me a question, I'm not biting his head off. So that when my son asks me, like on and on and on and on and on and on, all the things, right, that come with that we don't see being overly exhausted and coming undone. Cut the crap. I ain't doing it no more. So my own reset. I like movies. I took some notes. I like watch Tubies. I like those. Because you know why? They ain't hitting on nothing. They're not about anything. I don't have to think. The plot is not that intricate, right? I can jump on it, watch it, be entertained. This is one of the things I like to do. So that's what I did. I'm gonna go back to it. I did that on Saturday. Um, and what I was able to do in that moment is be present. I was present. I didn't do a lot of scrolling. I watched a couple movies. And let me tell y'all something that happened that was so cool. In the midst of sitting there doing nothing, watching Tubies, eating chip and dip, chilling with my son, he did something and I was able to catch it. My daughter was there at this time, my 31-year-old. Hey, booby. Um, my son laughed, y'all. Like not not even a smile, even though that would have been a big deal. Because here's why I say that. My son with this traumatic brain injury does not have expressions. There's just a one facial expression that he has. Sometimes he'll ball his face up if he doesn't like the way something tastes in his mouth or whatever, because he's eating. But he busts out laughing at something so silly on a Tubi. Y'all Tubi, y'all better give me a couple of dollars or something because I've been shouting y'all out. But he bust out laughing. Me and my daughter looked around because it was the same voice that we know, the voice that before July 19th we heard all the time. And then he had that look on his face that he always has. And I caught that, y'all. And I have to just think, like, would I have been able to catch that if I was busy? If I was doing the things, right? If my face was in my laptop, or I was upstairs while he was downstairs, or, whatever it is that I do that I think is productive that is not being present, would I have been able to catch that moment? And so it kind of made me reverence the ability to be present and the ability to be still, so that I am cognizant and aware that these things could potentially happen, and then to process how deep that was, because it wasn't just a laugh. Like, you hear your kids laugh, be grateful for that. But in that moment, to hear him laugh, not only did it amaze us and throw us off beat, it made me kind of think like, yo, I heard that. It's like your baby's first steps, right? Like, if you see your baby's first step, you're gonna lose it. Like, oh my God, that's me for my 23-year-old. Like, that was his first step for me. And so, um, again, if I wasn't present, if I was in that headspace, and I could be sitting on that couch, but that didn't mean that I was present, right? In that moment, I was feeding him, or I just got finished feeding him. Something silly came on, can't remember, but I think it was in reference to um, Boys in the Hood when Ricky was running through the backyard. And the person said something about that, but made a joke out of him. Was like, Ricky, Ricky. And my son just bust out laughing. And my daughter like, what the? And I joke, I don't want to belabor the point because it's not about that, but the point was that I caught that, right? And so you have to be still in those moments. So um yeah, so that pause made me do that. So then Saturday we did that. I was chilling. I got up, rested for church. Now let me back up on that. I missed 2 Sundays. Tired. My daughter had a graduation. Oh, y'all, check it out. Kingdom Kids, my school, KKEA, graduated our first high school graduate. Yes, we are able to sign off on those transcripts. We are able to send them off to colleges. And my daughter, Zoe Monet DaCosta, was the first graduate of Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. Let me just do a quick selfless plug. I am the owner, the founder of Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, which is a K through 12 private school right here in North Carolina, well, in Concord, North Carolina, where we focus on holistic health, economic empowerment, academic success, and leadership. That's HEAL. That's our core value system. I am also the CEO of Impact Child Behavioral Services, Inc., which is a for-profit school that focuses on children on the autism spectrum and with other intellectual disabilities. That school was a stem off of Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. As you can see, 2 schools. I own 2 schools. So yes, that is a lot of work. It is a heavy lift, but that does not mean it has to be consuming, right? So that Saturday, my daughter graduated. That was what, June 21st. I was so tired, I missed church. Lifted my head off the pillow. It was like, I got 15, 20 more minutes. You know how that go. Lay back down. I ain't wake up until 12 o'clock. Child, I was beat like 2 feet. So I missed church. Well, this Sunday, I did not miss church. And I was so grateful because when I got to church, it was communion. So not only did I not miss, not only did I show up refreshed, right? Um, got a picture with my first lady. I mean, my pastor. It was kind of cool. So not only was I able to do that, I was able to get restored spiritually and take communion. And then I came home, chilled for a moment, changed my clothes. And guess what I was able to do? Step out. My homeboy Kev, founder of this connected .net, right? He was having a release party for his magazine. He does a lot of things in media, including this podcast, of which I'm on. And I wanted to support him. He does a lot for my school. He comes every Thursday and teaches my children how to do just this podcast. Super dope. Another plug. Kingdom Kids does this, y'all. That's what makes us dope. Anyway, he does that every Thursday selfishly, shows up. I don't have to remind him. Professional, loves the kids, going about his business. Like, you can't ask for anything more. So as a friend, as a supporter, as a fellow entrepreneur, right, I felt like this is something I want to do. And typically, I can't. I'm too tired. Or I figure in my mind, I got other things that I could do, but everything was done. And why was that? Because my mind was clear. Like, a lot of the tire is not physical. I've noticed that, y'all. It's mental. It be so much going on up here. Like, I just imagine a bunch of little rats just like sat down somewhere. That's what's going on, right? The that thing was clear. Like it was clear and I was focused. I was like, okay, sitting there. I'm like, well, let me text them and see what the deal is. Make sure I know. And I'm there. And I showed up. I was present. I enjoyed myself. Came home, hopped in the shower, woke up today, refreshed. Here at the show, I did my day. Someone called off at the school. I still rocked the classroom, right? Had a couple flips in at work today. A couple things was supposed to happen, didn't happen. I ain't tripped. I wasn't like, all undone. No, I just rolled with it. I said, okay, look, this is what happened. This is how we gonna pick up the pieces. Boom, I call the place, make sure it's not gonna happen again. All right, fine. Let's roll with it, y'all. I roll with it. My team rolled with it. We was out of there. Got here on time, was able to sit, chill for a minute. Like, that's how it's supposed to go. And when I did a mental reflection, I said, why was this so easy going? Because I'm telling you, if I'd have got there, what happened was breakfast didn't get delivered, right? And so I was planning on breakfast being delivered. So when I got there, breakfast didn't get delivered. Cool. Get the kids, let them play a little quick game. Let me get their breakfast together. We get their breakfast together. In the midst of that, someone called off. All of these things probably last week would have threw me for a tizzy. I'd have been like, what the heck? Right? Went stir crazy. I would have got it done, but I'd have been pissed off. It ain't even bothered me. Then I got told, Miss Nene, the refrigerator ain't working and the microwave ain't working. And I think the milk you just bought is probably going to go bad. And I was like, okay. Because what I'm going to do? Flip out, ain't going to do it. Because I had the space to say, little deal, something I say to the kids. Not a big deal, little deal. It's not that big of a deal. What is it, $3-4 milk? I'm not saying that the milk is not expensive, but it's a little deal in the grand scheme of things. No one got hurt. No one drank bad milk. The kids ate. Ipso dipso. It'll all get done, right? And it did. And and really that's what it be. Like we work up with what could be. Again, anxiety, thinking about what it could be, thinking forward instead of right here and now. What can I do? And that's how my mindset was. But it's because I wasn't foggy. I wasn't tired. I wasn't overwhelmed. What the Bible said, I wasn't weary. I wasn't. I was good. I rested, had a little bit of celebration, went to church, chill, like all the things that can fill me up. All right. Look at this, y'all. This is so cool. Listen to this. Listen to this. So imagine this. This is going to be kind of an imagery of kind of like I was saying about the rats in your head, but this is a different one. And I think this one is super cool. So it says, dip the tea bag and let it sit. Now, I'm always talking about take this tea, dip it in your entrepreneurial tea and sip it. Check this one out. Dip the tea bag and let it steep. All right, here we go. Let me give you a visual. I'm going to read it off. Imagine you're in your kitchen. You've got your hot mug. Now, I always got a cute mug. Sorry, sidebar, something cute. Just a thing. Sorry. I love mugs. You've got your hot mug. Your water's ready. You grab your favorite tea. I like chamomile and lavender. It's a really good tea and it's relaxing. And what do you do? You dip it in, right? You don't stir it into a frenzy. This is good. Let me go back. What do? You dip it in. You don't stir it in a frenzy, right? And you let it what? Steep or marinate. Same thing when we talk about food, right? Like you put it in a pie, you let it, simmer. The longer you let it sit, right, and all the stuff get into the meat, the better the outcome is going to be. The softer the meat is going to be, all the things, right? Same thing with the tea. Let's get back to the tea. That tea bag, the one we let steep, the one we didn't in a frenzy, right? That tea bag, that's your purpose. See, it was the reason why I always talk about that tea. Clock it. You let it steep. That tea bag is your purpose. It's your gift. It's your assignment. Now, if you go back to my other podcast that I think I did the week before, I talked about passion versus purpose. Passion is short term. Purpose is what you're here for. It's that thing you'll do if you never got paid for it. Although entrepreneurship, the goal is to get paid eventually. But you get my point here, right? We talk about our purpose because it doesn't fizzle. Passion is the flame. Purpose is that smoldering rock, right? I mean, that's that smoldering log or what have you, right? So it's there kind of for the long haul, right? It's your gift, it's your assignment. That's what that tea bag is. But if you keep pulling it out, or if you're dipping it too fast, or if you're stirring it in a frenzy, right? It'll bust, right? It never lets it settle. So you'll never get the full essence of the tea, right? You'll compromise what you're supposed to be getting, and that's the full potency of the flavor, right? The flavor will never bloom. And that's a fact. Like the longer you leave that tea bag in there, the more strong the tea will be, right? And so that's kind of how it has to be with you. Don't let it, just let it sit. Let that be your rest, right? Sit that tea bag in there. Sit your brain down for a minute. I'm talking to myself, y'all. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to myself. So it says, sis, when's the last time you let yourself steep? That's it right there. Clock it, all that stuff y'all do, right? When is the last time? And if I have to be honest, I don't let myself steep. I'm on to the next thing. And although a lot of it, can pan out, I think the point is not that will it work out. I think the point is, will it work out in spite of, right? Will it work out and you work yourself to a frenzy, right? Will it work out and you sacrifice your family? Will it work out and you sacrifice all types of relationships, even your business relationships? Because here's the thing, and I say this before, I've said it before, you need a team. And so I've heard people on my team say, sis, calm down. And sometimes I get offended or slow down. I get offended because in my mind, you don't get it. What am I slowing down for? Remember, I came through the nothing comes to a but a dream, right? Nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. I come from that. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm from New York. So what you talking about? Like, I can't, but you can. And let me tell you something. Going back to old girl Quita, like, rest in peace. Like, if you don't slow down, God will. How many times have you been working so hard and I know we've all heard this, and then you get sick? I remember February, I got the worst flu. That thing sat me down, y'all. It sat me down. Now I had COVID. COVID had me down for 5 days, but I still was kind of like, it did not do me like this flu did. Even my husband was like, yo, you was low key a little bit baby dead a little bit. And I felt like it. Like the minute I thought I was up again, I was down. My cousins called me. We was praying. Like it was bad like that. The aches, the pain, everything you could get, and I remember saying to myself, I was tired. And so physically, that the mental side manifested into my physical side, I believe that. And it shut me down. When you don't get the rest, God will make sure you take it. And it ain't always gonna be on the beach. Sometimes it's gonna be in your bed. Sometimes it's gonna be, and I don't want to make this about that, but it is that critical, and it's critical for myself and to all my sisters out there and brothers who are just hustling hard. Like, hustle culture is it's got to be dead now. Again, I said it in the beginning, it is absolutely not kingdom culture. I wish that I had listed all of the scriptures that references rest in the Bible, but I can tell you one in the very beginning. God said, and then he rested. Right? He did all of that work, and on the seventh day, he did what? I guess my question is, who are we to think that we're better than God? That if he could rest, we can't. Think about that. I remember saying to myself, I ain't working on Sundays. And that's the one thing I have not held true to. I still will come home and do something on Sundays. I think this past Sunday I didn't, because like I said, I went to church. I went to my man's opening or his magazine release. So I didn't do any work, which is why I was a little backed up on this, but it still turned out, good. And that's the thing. Like, I did rest yesterday and I still came up with a good show idea because my show is usually about what has happened to me in the last week, or there's things that have happened, and I'm like, hey, I want to share that with you guys, right? I want to be very transparent because this is a moment as your entrepreneurial sister, right, that I want to share with you. And so mine this week happened to be that sis took some rest. And again, it wasn't on the beach, it wasn't all those things, and that's coming and it will come, right? But sometimes rest has to just be, you making a vow to yourself that every Sunday I'm going to do nothing, or every Saturday I'm going to do nothing. And we like to say, well, I don't have the luxury. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Even if it's an hour, right? You got some older kids, tell them to check them younger kids, plan for it. That, I think that's the other thing. Plan for it. If it's not something that's just ideal and organic, right? Like, because in my household, I got a lot of older kids. So my younger kid was with my mom. Um, my daughter sometimes comes and take my 8-year-old, because I have grandkids, so they all mix up, gone. So sometimes I do have that luxury, and even that I just sleep. I think even that I want to be more intentional about. Okay, I'm not just sleeping, I'm resting, and really making that a carved out thing, planning for it, really being intentional and saying, listen, I'm gonna turn my phone off. Because even our single moms, even our single dads, even our whatever, right? Whatever that thing is that you feel is that obstacle, right? If you plan for it, it can happen. Listen, mom, I need you to, like, I'm just not trying to hear that there's no way. You have a neighbor. You just have to get intentional about what you need and going to get it. Because here go the other thing. If you're an entrepreneur, you figure it out. Figure it out to get you some rest. Or, like they say, gotta sat you down if you don't do it. All right. I got 7 minutes. Let me get into it. So, one of the things that I will say before I end this is it's not just for me. And I realize that we do it for our children at the schools as well. So remember, I have two schools, Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, and I have Impact Child Behavioral Services, ICBS, right? And so at both educational institutions, I realize that in the fabric of the school, there is rest and it's intentional. So here's what it looks like, particularly for our KKEA children, right? That's where my typical kids go, the ones who are not on the spectrum, although we do have some children who are integrated in the fabric of our classroom. But in that, if a kid is tired, and I mean, they're just doing the most, right? In a traditional school, you like, sit your butt down. Maybe they're just tired. Maybe they don't like right now in this moment. Maybe they just need a quick break. And don't tell me that you don't do that in the real world, because you a lie. Because here's why I tell you that. The word, it says, this is statistically and scientifically true. No one works a full hour at work. You work 40 minutes, 45 maybe straight. Because 15 of it, you la 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 land. You on a fake phone call. You aimlessly like you might think you work, but you're being busy. It's a difference. You're not being productive. You're being busy. So no, you get 40 to 45 minutes of good solid work out of every employee. This is statistical, right? In each hour. So if we took a few of those 15 minutes, right? 4 of them out of your 4 hours, you got a whole hour that you did absolutely nothing. Which means in 8 hours, you got 2 hours that you did absolutely nothing, and you're still getting paid. So stop. So with that being said, these children, they deserve that as well. So at certain points, I just say, you know what? Put your pencils down. You do this in kindergarten. Get up and get the wiggles out. We do that. For our little kid, one of my RBTs said the other day, she said, give the kids some fidgets. They need something to do while they're sitting. And my old school thinker was, no, they need to sit their butt down. But no, that's not what we're doing. And I'm glad that she was able to say, give them something to do, because they really can't sit for them. It's not natural. And so that's essentially their mind resting or having something to do, right? Because they can't focus that full 30 minutes or 40 minutes or what have you. in their little minds. In our first graders, second graders, third. That's why you have recess. Hello. That's what that's for, to give the kids an opportunity to rest. That's built into the fabric of our school. So why can't you build it into your life? Quit playing with me. All right. And then the same thing with Impact, ICBS. Listen, we was just talking yesterday after the event yesterday, like what can we do for parents to give them an opportunity who have children on the spectrum to have an outlet? Like their children are a lot, right? And to think that these parents can go and not have a moment is insane. And then you see them on the news and you like, I wonder why, how could you do that to your kid? I can tell you why. They was tired. They needed a rest. So here I go. What can we do to create a space where mom can come out and play cornhole? Let's talk about this after the event yesterday, right? Like just mom can come out, kick it, and somebody is over there while we're doing some sensory things with these kiddos so mom and dad can rest. It ain't fair. We all need rest. Let's try to be intentional about letting it steep. Let's be intentional about taking time. They say, take a little time to enjoy the view. That's what they say. Enjoy what you do. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your life, enjoy your family, but you can't do that if you don't get a little rest. I ain't saying be lazy because I'm still going to go out here and go get it, period. I'm saying give yourself some rest so you can go get it, period. Yo, I'm out of here. I done talked it through. I ain't do no breaks. Y'all done heard your girl go bop, 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 bop. So it's time for me to do what? Rest. I'll holler at y'all next week. Break free with T. Marie.
Do you want thousands of